ladies and gentlemen. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I'm here with my interview with Brian Anthony Abraham Donaldson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's a great Saturday. Great day, man. Doing good.
Okay, good, good. Now I got a few questions here for you. The first question that I got, where are you from?
That's a very good question. Well, it goes into history, but I'll be quick with this. So I was not born in the States. I was born in Montego Bay, Jamaica, 1986 on a Saturday in a hospital in Montego Bay, right? So I was in Jamaica for a year. Parents decided to come to New York. That's where we lived always. We were in Queens, from Queens to going to the Bronx, and then we went stayed here in Baltimore, where I reside right now. So that's really my life story.
Okay, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. Now, I want to know, how did you get started in music? How did that come about?
You know what's funny is like my mom was always so we would in the house she would play piano church songs. So I was singing, really a singer though. I didn't, but then yeah, yeah, but that's how it really started because basically she was playing a lot of church music. The first music lesson I took was a drum lesson, and I wasn't really good, and I can kind of play drums now, but like I'm not at the best thing. But that's where it started from. My mom was always a musician, so from her playing the piano and playing the guitar, it grabbed me basically wanting to play guitar. Someone then learning other instruments, and I really just went with that. I kind of just went with guitar, bass, piano, harmonica, recorder, and then from there, that's how it is all built up, and that's how I started my music. Because my mom is the main reason I'm a musician.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Now, when did you realize that you had a gift?
I think it started later because I was very tone deaf around. Let's say like I started guitar at 13, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I had to take guitar lessons. Did that for about from 15 to about 20, and then I gave up because I didn't give up. I couldn't go to lessons anymore because I was in college. So where it really starts my gift is like I would be playing, my guitar, you know, I'm playing these open chords. My mom taught me chords, so it's like, C, this G. So I was playing these folk songs like that's where it started from. And then, from learning this folky music, I realized like my mom already was telling me in general, like, yo, it's so great how I basically learned from folk music how to do basic things on the guitar later. So when I figured that out, I was like, maybe I could write my own songs and then maybe that will make me a better person. So I was doing folk covers, but then I realized the gift that I had was that I could also make my own music. And then I realized like that's where I want to stay. I just want to create my own stuff and also still do covers.
Nice, nice, man. That's what's up. Now, when it comes to music, what's your thought process when you're getting ready to make a song?
I always like have a formula, but sometimes my formula is crazy. Like I'll just open up FL Studio, my number one DAW. I'm still using to this day. I mean, I've used many DAWs, but let's get still back to subject. So, the way I start a song usually is either I got a drum or I got a melody or I got a bass line or I got something that's just catchy, something that catches the attention. So that's why I also got into sampling because when you can manipulate a sample and flip it, you have this ability to basically change the idea of the song. So if you're pitch shifting using effects, I do all this stuff, automation. That's where I know, like, okay, I got something here in the pocket. I always fit in the pocket. I'm like, okay, that sample, I got this guitar, I got this riff. But if the lyrics come last, that's the thing. I never start with a lyric. I always start off. The music is first, the lyrics are last. So that's how it goes.
Okay, okay. Now, do you read sheet music or play by ear?
I used to now it's been a while because I went to school for that. I took guitar class. I had to read notation, but you know me, I'm like a tablature head. So I would read the notes and tab them out because I see everything in numbers, like on guitar. Like this is kind of confusing, but for instance, this C to me is a 3. It's not actually like a C. See it like a C, like I hear it as a C, but it's basically a 3 to me. Like this is a 3 because I'm on the 3rd fret.
Right.
If I hit the E open, it's a 0. So I see everything in numbers. Like when I'm playing guitar, I see everything in numbers. But then I also have to use my relative pitch because that's what I've had that since I've had this like whole chromatasia or whatever problem with myself. So, but I don't know if that's how you say it, chromosynthesia. I don't know how to say it, but I can hear sounds and everything. So basically, I can hear sounds and everything. So if I hear one note in my relative pitch, then I'm like, okay, that's how it goes. But yeah, but even when I was doing notation, I did everything by tablature because I see everything in numbers. But I would go back to trying to do that, but it's very complicated and I'm not used to it. So now I just do everything by ear or I do it by tab.
Oh, okay. Now, with your work, what has your work been compared to, or who have they compared your work to? Like, what artists would you say you closely resemble, or people would say you closely resemble?
This is a very good question. It could be kind of long, but I'm gonna make it quick. So I'm like a part of hypey culture. So One Love to Little B, I wish he was on the stream right now. That ain't gonna happen. And I want to collab with the guy, but if you listen to a lot of my hip hop, it's very much based on a lot of people compared to Little B, a lot of people compare also Deck Grips. Them too. Shouts to MC Rod, the man, homie. Shouts to also Zach Hill, great drummer. And shout outs to the keyboardist. I can't remember his name, but Flatliner, yeah, good guy, great guy. I definitely get Deck Grips. Sometimes I get Kanye because when I'm doing like something like that, I kind of get. If I'm flowing really fluent, I get Jay-Z. But sometimes I'm not trying to sound like Jay-Z, but I try to be in that. Lil Wayne is another one. I definitely have a lot of Lil Wayne type energies when I'm rapping. Drake also in there. I did a whole trilogy where it's like I made my own Drake trilogy, so I definitely think Drake is a big influence on my music. You can hear it definitely in my chords and some of my bass lines and everything I'm doing. This is a long one, so I don't know how to even end this, but I could say that's like hip hop wise. Rock wise, I get like Block Party, Radiohead, Sonic Youth.
Wow.
Bowie is definitely one. I get Bowie. I get Jim Morrison. Black wise, if I had to say it, definitely I also get Living Color. I definitely get Living Color in my music, so that's definitely, and they're one of the greatest groups ever. So one love to them. Also, Bad Brains, another great black group. But that's that. And then I guess if you want to go, I go through electronica, so it's like I definitely love Fatboy Slim. I definitely love Tom. I definitely love a lot of Witch House. So I'll say like Purity Ring. Definitely the X2 is in there too. I can compare it sometimes, but I really make my stuff sound really good like theirs. Definitely also like the Yeah Yeahs. It's a long one. I'm gonna finish it quick. And then definitely if I had 2 more electronic, it's definitely like definitely Kelly O'Keefe Ray, definitely that's the guy. That is the same guy from Block Party, by the way. And then last I would have to say like probably one of the biggest out there, but like no one really is listening to it right now. But I gotta give Von Buren like his vibe because the guy's been killing it with trance and everything for years. So I try to stay in those vibes too. Also Martin Garrix, I'll give him that.
Okay. Now, is music your full-time career? Or is it part?
I would say it's a part-time career. I do it as a hobby. I want it to be there eventually. I want to get out this house and get my own house and be tour world. That's my next plan. But for now, it's a part-time career because I do paid for it when I sell beats or I just basically get my records sold online from Bandcamp. So that's how I get my money. For now, it's part-time. The career I want to really get into basically after this is like either working in a guitar store or doing repairs on guitars, like being a repair guitarman. Because I have so many problems with, this thing has a hell of bad action and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it plays, but I want to get it to a better vibe. So I want to become that. I want to become a guitar repairman.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what's up, man. Um, what is the hardest part about being a musician?
Hardest part about being a musician is trying to not have gas. That's the first one, gear acquisition syndrome. I have dealt with it myself. There's a lot of things in this room that I have used and I also lost. Like I had like, I'm so dumb for this, but I went outside and I threw out so much gear that I had that wasn't basically working. So I decided just to, put it outside. But then I was like, God damn, like those were some dope things. I had some dope keys. I had a multi effects pedal. I had
Wow.
so like gear acquisition syndrome was the first. The second is like trying to become successful. I think
Hmm.
that's the hardest thing because promotion is a key form, but also there's still all these things like ads and building up your fan base. So that's like success is crazy. And then the last thing is also when you get the fame, which also Bowie talks about in one of his songs, because he couldn't stand that until he died. And I understand him from that song, which you could go check that song out. It actually tells you how much he hated the whole phantom, whatever, fandom of being famous. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. So basically, gas, success, and fame. That's really the hardest thing to deal with.
Okay, okay. I wanted to know more if you could get a little bit more into gear acquisition syndrome, because that's a new one. Could you like expand upon it a little bit more for our viewers that may want to know, what it is?
It's like literally like I'm a window shop. I'll say it honestly. Because I'll go to Guitar Center and I know there's 1,000 guitars now. You know when you go into a guitar center, you see 1,000 guitars that you can't probably afford, right?
Right.
So, but I go in there to get my repairs. That's what I do. Like I like my bass, which is to the side of me. I just got it repaired. It sounds great. I paid like $114 for it, but sometimes you go into a store and you see all these nice things. You see these nice keyboards. You see these drum kits. You see these nice pedals. You see these nice, just anything that's nice, and you want it, so you just strive to get it all the time. So gas is what they call it actually, but that's what it is. When you have so much gas, you want to have things, but you need to learn is that you should just work with what you have and not have so much gas because everyone can
Ah,
have an MPC. Everyone can have a beat machine. Shouts to the old school cats who have that. But in the long run, you don't want to have gas your whole life. You got to work what you have and just work with that. That's all it's got to be.
right, right. I think I understand it a little bit more. Um, I feel like I guess as time goes on, you're working with one uh one piece of
But
production
I
equipment.
don't mean to interrupt, but I'll be honest.
Go ahead, go ahead.
My gas is digital gas.
Okay.
I have all this gear behind me, but digital gas is another thing because there's people who collect sounds and collect banks of presets and banks of. I'm that type of bad person. Like my gas is on digital types of products is crazy. Like I have a bad digital gas. Like on my drive, my drive right now is about 403 gigabytes because I have so much in there, and
Right.
it's 4 terabytes, but now I'm down to 400. So that's my worst gas. It's like wanting too many digital things.
I see, I see. Okay, okay. Yeah, sometimes when you're working with equipment, you just gain so much, but you got to work with what you got before you move on to the next level. And even if you have something, it's like
Yeah,
don't jumble everything together. Like work with if you're gonna work with this piece of equipment, work with it, do everything that you can, get everything that you can out of it before you decide like, yo, I'm gonna discard it. Like me,
yeah.
I mostly produce using Reason. Now every once in a while if I need to chop up
Great
a sample,
program. I use that in college. So one love to you. I don't know what version you're on, but I respect it. That's a really good dog.
yeah. And sometimes I use the like I have a Kai in my basement. Sometimes I used to use that to chop up samples, or I would use it to make beats because the sequencing is dope. Yes, you are limited in the things that you can do, but I think it was
Yeah.
the Akai 2000. It's an amazing machine. But yeah, I get what you're
I mean,
saying.
if
You have
Kanye,
Different syndrome.
if Kanye used that unit throughout half of his career and he's still using it on in some of his new albums, it proves that that thing was legendary. As much as you could do a mod on it to do the zip drive, which I always hear about, I
Yeah.
think everyone should do that mod. It's going to save your life if you do that mod. It's a really good mod.
Now, I remember a while back, right? Well, this is a story that we've heard in the music industry for years, right? A lot of
Definitely.
people will look at someone that is an executive producer of an album and they're like, oh, this person didn't produce the album, but there is a difference between a beat maker and producer. Would you care to break that down for the people that are watching?
This is like one of the craziest questions because I call myself a producer, but actually, that's only if I'm in the studio directing my
Yes.
dumb pop filter anyway. Directing how the music goes.
Right.
So there's a record I did. There's a record I did. This is actually me really fucking not fucking. I did the beat making. That's
Mm.
I definitely call myself a sequencer. Okay, I'm an arranger and a digital music sequencer. That's what I love about myself because I can do it all day. But when I had to do this record with Shaq, I had to tell him like in certain points, like, yo, this goes here, that line goes there, and then I arranged the whole thing myself.
Right.
So that was me actually making an effort to produce the record the way I kind of wanted it to sound, and also for Meshack. That's the difference. A beat maker is an arranger. Okay, like Kenny Beats is an amazing producer because if you have his records, they're amazingly arranged and amazingly he goes into artists with the studio and does his thing. That guy's amazing. But he's also an arranger or a beat maker because he sits there and critiques every little event and arranges it. That's the
Right.
difference.
Yeah, because a lot of people, let me tell you something, a lot of people will look at DJ Khaled and be like, yo, this guy doesn't produce beats. But the thing is, when he started out early in his career, he was a DJ, he was producing. I mean, sorry, lem-
Go. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We
yeah,
all
yeah,
make mistakes.
yeah, yeah. DJ Khaled is an executive producer, but oftentimes when we think of producer, we think of someone that makes beats. But there is a difference between beat maker and producer. I'll give you an example. I remember back in 2014, a friend of mine brought over this young lady to the studio, right? I have a studio in my crib. And basically, you know, I was going to sell this beat to her, but the thing was, I wasn't going to get any credit as an executive producer because what she was going to do was she was going to buy the beat and have someone arrange it. And whoever was
Ah,
going to
yeah.
arrange it and
See,
put it
that's what I
together
said too.
would have been the executive
Yeah.
producer. Now, I probably would have been able to sell the beat for maybe 150, $200. But in case, and come out with this was to be as a bundle pack because she was writing a book. The name of the book was called Dear Diary, right? So
Got you.
I wouldn't have, if she decided to sell the song on a streaming app, I wouldn't have been able to make any money as a producer because number one, that would have been a work for hire, and two, I would have sold my rights. So I would have made money off the beat by selling it, but I would have not had any future earnings in terms of royalties or writing credit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at that
Yeah.
time it was
Yeah.
very important to me. It was so important that I went to Jamaica Avenue, and on Jamaica Avenue there is a lawyer that can give you advice about that type of stuff. So I went
That's
and I
word.
met with that person so that they could give me information. And that's when I learned about selling beats online and splits and all these different things. So, and they also had a fake contract that I could look at and basically would be like, okay, well, this is how this goes, and that goes. So now that I'm older, I'm understanding the nuances of beat making, how to handle your business, how to make sure you don't get your future royalties or earnings taken away. I remember I had a professor in college. I will never forget this guy. His name was Professor Hest. And he had told me one time that he wrote a song and he put work for hire, right? Because he was like, well, this is work and I'm getting hired, so I'm going to get paid. What he didn't realize was that he was signing away his rights to have any future earnings for the song. And so he had to clear that up very quickly, because there were times when James Brown's musicians would go into the studio
That's true though too. Yeah, I
and
know what you're
work with
talking about.
them and do
Yeah,
it as a work for hire to get bread, not thinking that later on, if the song ends up popping off, they can make future earnings or royalties. No one told them
true.
about that, not even James. So as you look into this world now of digital streaming sales and credits and everything, you want to make sure that if you're a beat maker, you get your credit as a beat maker. If you're an executive
Definitely.
producer, you get your credit as an executive producer. And it's so very important, because if you don't know the difference between these things, it's going to be a problem. Now, as I said with Khaled, Khaled was a beat maker. And when he
Yes.
started working with these other artists, he was also an executive producer. Because although those people were putting lyrics on his albums and stuff like that, he was the one that's telling them, okay, this goes here, that
You
goes
can
there,
see him
turn this
doing
up a
it
little
on
bit,
the
turn it
videos
down.
too. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. You see, like I've watched this guy. He's in studio with Barris Ham. No, is that true? He was with Barris Hammond.
I
You know
think it
what
was
I'm talking about.
I think it was Buju Banton he was in the studio with.
And he's with another Jamaican guy too. Like, and you see him in there vibing and telling them like, "What's up?"
Exactly.
You
And
know,
people
like
and people don't realize this. Like, it's important. Let me tell you something. It's great to get into the studio and know how to do music, but it's even better when you know about credits, splits, royalties. All these different things are important. If you don't know nothing, let me tell you something. A lot of these young guys, they get into these contracts where someone is taking a certain percentage of their publishing. You sign a
true that.
contract for 5 or 6 albums, and you have to uphold the um the terms of that contract. Otherwise, if you don't,
It's
you're gonna
true.
drop.
It's true.
But after the first or second album, the label could decide like, yo, I'm going to drop you regardless, because you're not doing sales, or let's just say they don't want to focus their
That's real
attention on you
talk.
anymore. So a lot of these young guys out here don't know that, and that's why there's still stories of young rappers and musicians and singers that are not getting their just due because of the fact that they didn't read their contract. Now, if you want to do music
Drake
because you love
actually
it.
though. I'll say this about Drake though. Drake knows what he's doing, and I know people probably didn't like the last album he did, and he's coming back with another one. It's not even going to be a joke. The guy will never stop, but he might eventually. The last album he did, all the clearancing, all the producers worked that shit out, fine dandy, okay, because that shit sold. That shit
Right,
sold. So you know Drake was already on his swag, and the guy started out as an actor, okay.
right.
Like you got to give that man so much. There's too like I see too many people just saying Drake is stands, like he's just a stands, like all y'all stands like for Drake. No, Drake has a legacy as
Right.
much as like Kanye has a legacy and Jay-Z. How many records will you look upon that Drake has right now in his catalog and try to tell me that homie's not dope? Like,
Of course, man. And let me tell you, it all goes back to knowing about your contracts. Let me tell you something. There's a woman by the name of Wendy Day. A lot of hip hop heads, a lot of dudes that listen to hip hop don't know who Wendy Day is. In 1992, and we're talking about 30 years ago, Wendy Day started
Max.
the Rap Coalition. This was a way for rappers to have some form of management that would deal with their publishing, their royalties, masters, all those different types of things, right? And there was a
Definitely.
contract, a deal that she was able to work out between Universal and Cash Money Records, where, and this was unusual at the time, that Baby was able to keep all of the masters for Cash Money Records. You don't hear that. And then there was another deal. There was the No Limit deal that happened also as well. That was monumental. No
Best
Limit
deal
ended up,
ever.
and
Best deal ever.
they also ended up working with Universal as well. So you had two groups from New Orleans, and Wendy Day made sure to orchestrate that. She's also worked with a lot of other hip hop artists to make sure that they get their just due. You see, what people don't realize is that
Facts.
if you don't utilize the
Facts.
resources that are around you, you're going to end up losing out. And that's why some of these guys are in their late 50s, early 60s, still fighting for their masters. Curtis Blow is still currently fighting for the masters that he made, the records that he made for Mercury Records in 1979. And
Crazy.
the two songs are
Crazy.
called The Breaks, and I forgot the other joint.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's The Breaks and I think Christmas Rapping. Those are
And
the
if
two
I rule
songs.
the world, or is it if I rule the world? I thought that was it too. If I
I
rule
don't
the
I don't
world.
I don't know about that, but I know that he's you know what? He might as well be fighting for those masters too, you know? But people gotta realize, like,
Definitely.
and let me tell you, it's not easy to get your masters. Anita Baker was going through an issue with her record label. I forgot the name of the label that she was signed to, but Chance the Rapper, he got involved in that situation, and she ended up getting all of her masters back. You know, it's hard to do that when you sign a
Word.
contract and you don't look at the terms and the agreements. It's very easy for someone to snatch your name and your identity and all these different things. You know, imagine
Here's
being on
my
a record.
thing.
Go ahead.
Wait,
Go
I
ahead.
don't mean to interrupt, but
Go
here's
ahead.
my thing though. See, as if I've never been signed to a label. This is going to be a little nice swaying. I've been doing all my music independently, so and I know you've been doing all like kind of similar. So I want to know the difference between that and then like doing a DIY and then going with because I don't think major labels are really going to be a thing in like 20 years. That's my biggest thing.
Well, let me. Hmm, that's a good question. All right, so when you're doing or pushing music yourself, you literally have to be the manager. You have to be your own A&R. You have to get your own makeup artist. You got to make sure that you pay people. Like, let's say you don't want to mix or master your album yourself. You can find somebody to do that. But literally, those are the things that you're doing. You're mixing the album, you're mastering it yourself, you're the A&R, you're this, you're that. So everything is riding on you and you're doing it independently. You know, if you can find a creative way to get people to listen to your music, then you'll be fine. Everything will work out. But with a record label, the record label, it gives you money for certain things, you know? You have the album recording budget, right? Which means you can bring in any producers
Yeah,
that you want, any musicians. You know, you're paying for mixing, mastering, um, just a lot of different stuff. And you see, the thing is, the record label gives you that leverage. And also, if the record label is well known, and we're talking about labels like Sony, um,
Republic is definitely up there too.
exactly, or you know, Def Jam Records,
Um,
because these labels have notoriety,
yeah,
people are more likely to go and listen to your music because of the promotion that these labels put out. So labels are just really there for promotion, right? But as we see
got
now,
you.
you got websites like United Masters or DistroKid or CD Baby
Yeah,
or I think Song Trust is another website. All of these
there's
websites,
also TuneCore. TuneCore, you got that one
TuneCore,
too. TuneCore.
exactly. But you see, if you don't know how to work with these sites, if you don't know about how to get streams and other things like that, you're not going to get the result that you want. So sometimes you might need to hire people that you know that really know how to work out this stuff. Like, and you don't necessarily have to go to a label to do it. Like, in terms of marketing and having a department for that, you can know somebody that knows how to do photography, that knows how to edit, that can digitally enhance your photo, or just do different things. You have to be able to have all of those things in your pocket. If you know friends or family that are really good at that stuff and that is their main job, you know, then you would get them to do that, to work with you. You know what I mean? So doing
Yeah,
it yourself is a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, when you work with yourself, you're gonna own 100% of your masters. You're gonna get your royalties. You're gonna get all these different things. There's gonna be no middleman, no in between. When you're getting paid for a show, or you're doing a concert, or it's time for you to get paid for your money for that contract that you made. That yo, I'm gonna perform in this city 2 hours. There's not gonna be a label that's gonna get a certain percentage, right? We often say that people make more money
yes,
touring than they do off album sales. But the fact of the matter is the fact that even if you are touring, your record label's still gonna get a percentage of that. And what's worse is that if on your record you do not have any writing credits for any songs, even though you may have written everything, even though you may have produced the beat, if you have other label heads and record execs that are in there that have put in their final input and are like, oh, change this, change this, change that without your consent, then you're not gonna have any credit. You know, one of the one of the craziest stories within the music industry. was the situation with New Edition. New Edition went on
Yeah,
tour,
definitely.
did music, got out of the projects, and they came back to, poverty. But the thing was that when it was time for them to get paid, they only got paid $1.87. Now, Maurice Starr, who was the manager and the gentleman who had the record label, he tells these guys, oh, well, we had a budget of this, we had to pay for this, recording time, using this stuff, blah, 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 all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And because of the fact that everything was structured in a certain way, these people's parents were putting their trust in the label. You never put your trust in the label. You always make sure that you have a lawyer. You always make sure you do this and you do that. Right? So,
That's how I see it. That's how I see it. That's why I feel like just being in my shoes, as somebody who's been doing this since they were 13, I feel like I always wanted to have. I hate to use the word control, but the whole thing about punk rock to me, which is like one of my second favorite genres to put into the list. But punk rock before it became too corporate, I hate to use that word. It seemed like that's how it was really struck out. It was all DIY. You booked your own shows. One shout out to Ian MacKay from Discord Records. Go check out the whole history about Discord Records. They're still one of the like crazy. I'm done. I'm just gonna go with that. You can continue.
yeah, so, you always have to make sure that you watch yourself because people will do anything to try to make a dollar out of you. Like, there was there was a young gentleman that was signed to um Bad Boy Entertainment sometime in 1997 or 1998, and his name was, I think,
And
Jerome.
that's getting crazy too.
And I think his name was Jerome Childers. Now, Jerome was given the red carpet, the world treatment. You know, um, Puff and a couple of other producers, I guess, put together a song for him. He had a video. Everything was going good until the moment that he had, I think it was acid reflux.
Oh snaps! I think we only have 6 more minutes.
Yeah, yeah, no, we do.
Yeah.
But it's all right. But we gonna continue to roll on. After that, I'll be finished. And so because of that, he got sick, and his voice started changing. By like 2000, he got dropped off the label. His album never came out. And so the harsh reality of the record business is that at any time, even though you may seem like an asset, you can also be a liability. So that's
True.
the other thing.
True.
You could be getting all of this promotion, you could be getting all of this money, and everybody loves you. You got A&Rs, you got people interviewing you, somebody doing makeup, all these different things. But they could be going just like that. That's why it's always good to make sure that you yourself are set. So as a musician, if a label decides that they don't want to rock with you anymore, you already have a fan base. You can go and record and do your own thing. You know what I mean?
I think that's what I think Ashanti's about to do that when she gets this next record out, and I'm kind of proud she's doing that right now because she should have done that from the first place. So Ashanti, one love to you if you're gonna make that next move, definitely.
Exactly. And let me tell you. And with speaking of Ashanti, man, Murder Inc. was between the years of 1999 till about 2004. Murder Inc. was at their peak. I mean, they just had success, hit after hit after hit after hit. Shout out to Irv Gotti because he did his thing too. Ja, um,
True, true,
all these different
true.
people. But you see, Irv learned about the business working as an A&R at Def Jam, and also before that working with Mike Geronimo and Cash Money Click. Cash Money Click is that was a group that Ja Rule was a part of before he became a solo artist. And eventually is because of that video being played on the box so many different times in rotation, somebody caught wind of it, and the next thing you know, Irv was in Def Jam's office, and Ja Rule ended up getting signed to Def Jam. But yeah. Now I got one last question for you, and
I'm ready whenever. I'm ready. This has been a good interview, so one love.
yeah, man. What advice would you give
Baldwin's in the building.
to what advice would you give to young musicians?
This is really like a lesson from myself, but I think what you got to do, if you got a passion, stick with it, and then try to make it. Some people say don't believe in passion too much, but I say if you got a passion, don't give up on it, and keep on building. If you want to play that guitar, keep teaching yourself that guitar. If you want to become a singer, try to get some lessons if you want. But if you don't even want to take lessons anymore, just try to find your way to do what you gotta do and express yourself, because expression is everything, man. Like I can't even sing to my best ability at this moment, but I've been trying every day, and I just keep on doing it. You know, I never took lessons. I never actually had vocal lessons. No one even knows that. Never had vocal lessons. So I just keep on singing the way I want to sing. You know, and bass never took that either. Taught myself bass. You know, so if you got a passion, to stick with it. I think a lot of people say that. Like I've heard 50 Cent say it. I've heard Kanye say it. You know, like stick with your passion. You do that. Don't ever give up on what you believe. Don't ever give up on your dreams. That's it. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Don't ever give up on your dreams.
All right, I feel you on that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the interview. I want to thank Brian, Anthony Abraham Donaldson, for joining me for this wonderful interview. Hopefully in the future. Matter of fact, no, before you go, we have like a few minutes. Tell everybody about the new project that you're getting ready to release. Just give a little snippet of it. Not snippet, but
You mean you mean like on you mean on the one I just released like last Thursday?
it was last. That's your latest project.
I mean, we like okay, so I'm gonna just like give this a real big up because we got 1 minute. So if you want to check any of my solo stuff, it's BD, my whole name, BDEE, all one word, .bandcamp.com. It's all my solo stuff. If you want to check any of my hip hop, it's bigpurpledon.bandcamp.com. And basically, my latest is Power Punk. So that basically came out last Thursday. There's another release coming Monday, and then I got my friend's release or collab coming the 23rd of June. And then I have this whole year stacked up, so you don't gotta worry about nothing. So I can't put everything, but if you want to listen to my most current music, bd.bandcamp.com. My hip hop is bpd bigpurpdon.bandcamp.com. That's all you gotta look at for now. And my band has a record coming out. If you want to go check that, I hate to put the plug to venomousoranges.bandcamp.com. That's it. I'm done. Okay, I'm done. That's enough for now. And then basically, like if Space Funk ever gets back, we have a record too that's supposed to get out. Space Funk Reggae, but you can go check that also on the YouTube. Space Funk Reggae. Put it all as one word. Go check that.
All right, you already heard the man. All right, so that's it. We out. Thank you for joining me, my brother. And definitely, we got to do this again in the future.
And actually, one more thing. If y'all ain't really checking out Demolish and Conquer, okay, me and this man here did a classic. We need you to put that more into our DistroKid. So I might just go back on DistroKid and try to get my sales. I haven't checked that in 5 years. But go check that record out. Me and Gabriel, Demolish and Conquer. Go check that out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We out. Peace.